All right, here we go. Hello, Kevin Avery, and hello, all of you out there.
You got me while
We're
I'm
back, yeah, it's BeerDiplomacy, and we're back live. Well, not live, but we're on video, and
This is as live as we could be.
yeah, I mean, we're alive, so, and
We are alive. I
yes,
feel
we are.
alive.
Yeah, we're just hanging out and talking, and we've moved on to the couch here at BeerDiplomacy HQ, and we're gonna hang out and have some fun and drink some beers and talk about whatever. So, welcome back.
Whatever.
Is this your second or third?
It is my third time.
Third time on the show, Kevin Avery.
Yeah.
How's it going, man?
It's going well. It's my third time back on the show. Third week being back in New York.
What are you back in New York for?
For a minute, I thought you were genuinely
just gonna-
asking and not setting me in. Then I was like, "Oh no, he's setting me up." But I was
Setting
like,
you up.
"You know what I'm doing here." Totally biased with Kamau Bell starts again on September 4th.
Yeah.
So we're back. Making a TV show.
5 nights a week now?
We are 5 nights a week. We will be shooting 4 shows a week, Monday
do,
through
like-
Thursday. But on Sundays, like a best of the previous week comes on to
That's
launch
cool.
you into the.
And what is your role in this whole thing that is totally biased?
Maintenance and catering,
Oh, interesting.
and that's that's where.
So
I
you brought
these
these
cheese
cheese
Danishes. Yes. No, I'm the head writer on the show, and
So yeah, that's an interesting question. So I mean, let's go back.
all right.
So how did it all start? Like, I mean, you grew up out west, right?
Yeah. Oh yeah. You're talking about going way
Yeah,
back.
man. Let's hear the.
I started doing stand up in San Francisco, and that's where I met Kamau, and we always say we didn't like each other. That's the story that we put out there. I think as the years go by,
That's funny.
we've almost amplified that a little bit more. I think it wasn't that we didn't like each other. We were just kind of like, oh, whatever. It was
You
just
guys
like
have
that.
this sort of back and forth that's funny, like brothers or sort of two
Well,
guys who like to bust each other's chops.
Yeah, I mean,
I always find the best of friends tend to do that. If your best friend can't knock you down, then who can, right?
True. Although I really don't care for him that much. No, we were roommates at one point, so we really have sort of, and we went on the road together a lot when we were starting. It's weird. I forget about times doing like one-nighter gigs with him and driving out to, one-nighters are basically you can play a club like the Punchline in San Francisco, and you're there for the week, or Cobb's Comedy Club. You're there from a Thursday through a Sunday, or a Wednesday through Saturday, whatever. But then there are these gigs that are like Winnemucca, Nevada, where it's like maybe
one
2
word?
nights. Winnemucca is one big word.
Oh.
The Winnemucca in Nevada, it's where you play the Winners Inn Casino. And I've played it many times, and it is something else. And then you would go to like Elko, Nevada, and then there's Ely or Battle Mountain, Nevada. You go up to Roseburg, Oregon, and like you would just hit these small towns, for a good week straight, or maybe 4 days straight, or something like that. And so he and I did some of those together, and it
Sort of like cut your teeth at the same time. And
it's a tremendous bonding experience because you're out there in the middle of nowhere. And for two black guys, you're really out there in the middle. It's like...
Was it sort of like the camaraderie that they say soldiers get and when they're in the shit together?
A little bit, yeah. It does feel that way. I mean, man, it's so... you're just so far removed from the rest of...
And like in small towns, I would imagine sometimes you're getting beat up every night too. So it's sort of like even if you're funny, like I would
I thought
imagine...
you meant literally for a second.
No, but maybe that too. But on stage, I would imagine that, both of you guys have a humor that's sort of a bit more urban, and I mean that not in a black or white way, but in a I'm from the city and I have a more liberal perspective way.
Yeah.
And sometimes in a small town, and I know this just from traveling around this country, that like some of the things that I would say, even friendly or trying, my perspective is not necessarily the norm in Winnemucca, Nevada.
Yeah, but it's funny because back then we really didn't, and I still, I don't know. It's hard for me to pinpoint what my comedy is about these days. I know it's very autobiographical.
We're talking more about
all of
voice
it.
though, as opposed to subject matter, at least for this.
Yeah, but even that's a hard thing to figure out. I remember watching George Carlin. Kind of veering off, but I saw George Carlin speak. Maybe 10 years ago. It was a while ago. I was fairly new in comedy. It was probably a little bit longer than that. And he, who had already been around for 50 million years, and he on stage, he stood there. He wasn't doing stand-up. He was just speaking. Had the audacity to say he had just recently found his voice, and I was like, what the, George Carlin? Well, then what am I? You know what I mean? And so it can take so long. But at that time when we were doing those things, like I was very, if you know Kamau's comedy now, he speaks a lot about race, social issues, things like that. He still can be very silly, but he's talking about serious stuff and things that really sort of drives the way he lives and what's on his mind. And mine again is it's a lot more personal, and sometimes it's just storytelling and stuff like that. But at the time, I was a lot sort of bigger, goofier, and
we should probably remove that from the table.
We're all getting calls.
Lessons learned on first show back.
But yeah, my comedy was a little bit different. His was too. His was less of that whole social. So we could just go out to the middle of nowhere and do these shows in bar, because you're doing bar shows.
So how does that impact your ability to write for him? I mean, or are you even writing for him, or are you sort of like, what is that like? And question subset B3 is, how is writing for TV different from writing for yourself? Like, and how do you navigate all?
Well, writing for him now is, what we do now is so different, and we have, whatever it is, 15 years of knowledge of each other's acts to sort of get where, like, it's important that he knows the way I think comedically, but he understands that I get his point of view and his perspective on things, and it's obviously important for me to understand his point of view and the way he thinks, so that I can write for him, and that goes for all the writers on staff. So writing for stand-up is, let me sit down and just, this thing happened, I got to talk about this, and I just, writing for him, it's a little bit of the same, but it's really about honing in on a specific issue in his voice.
Do you guys feel like you've sort of earned some sort of responsibility now, though? I mean, for example, I know you may have heard, or at least I have thought of, a few comparisons with especially now going to 4 nights a week, to The Daily Show or to Colbert, how it's sort of another one of these voices that comments on what's going on in America, what's going on in the world, from a perspective, I like to think, that's a bit more race infused, a bit more, I'm the little guy, I'm the minority, I need a voice. And I think you've done a really good job of giving the person who needs a voice on television. Some of the skits with the drag queen or when Guy got up and talked about football, or when Janine does some, awesome stuff about lesbians, who are probably the most often disregarded group, I think. You never hear a lot about lesbians on television. Yeah. Damn it. No.
Or, well, it's not real lesbians.
Right,
You get a whole lot.
You know what I mean? But, like, those are voices that you guys have, you've given those, I hate to call them fringe groups, it's the first word that comes to mind, smaller groups that are, I don't even know, I'm just going to stop and say those groups of people, you've given them sort of a voice.
People.
Yeah. Thank you for looking right at the camera while you
I
say
know,
that.
I want them to know I'm talking about them.
But you know what I mean, like, you've given those people a voice. Do you feel like there's a responsibility now to continue to sort of fight for that? Because Jon Stewart, for example, has become a bit of a voice for a disenfranchised liberal, right? So where do you feel Totally Biased has fallen into that, especially now as the guy who's sort of, clearing stuff to go on to the next level as the head writer? Like,
well, it's weird. I don't feel like we have a responsibility per se. Our responsibility is to entertain and to be funny. That's what we're responsible for. That's why we're on the air. The network likes us on the air because we do those things. That makes us different or whatever.
It gets clicks the next day. It brings ratings. It gets people to watch.
It's not. There's not a lot out there, not from his point of view, about these things. I don't think of it as a responsibility. It's what we like to do as a show, as a group, as you know, as whatever.
And I can vouch for that. I mean, just from hanging out with you guys, like you talk about sort of the same things that you get on camera and shoot and do.
Yeah, I mean, it's weird because you know, of all the people, of all the people on staff, I mean, there are a couple of us. I'm not like that. Like a great example is Hari Kondabolu, who is a very sort. You know, he's about that. He's about taking down the big guy and pushing up the little guy, and all those things that you've described. That's what he's all about. And I sometimes think he's on a quest to sort of, you know, I feel like that's a dude who's on a quest, who's got a mission. And you see that in his own act on, you know, on stage. I'm not necessarily that guy.
Right.
So I'm there to sort of. But Kamau, that's what he wants for his show. That's what we want for the show. But you know, so not being that guy, I have to sort of channel my efforts, make sure that they're channeled in the direction of what he wants, and you know, what we want to say. Does that? I don't know. I don't know if I feel like I'm kind of all over the place, but I don't. It's not really a responsibility. It's just as a show and as a group of people, we want to do this stuff.
Do you foresee it becoming a responsibility? I mean, for example, I look at.
I hope not.
Once again, no.
Honestly, well, I think once you start making things a responsibility and it becomes. I feel it becomes predictable, and then it just becomes it's a weird pressure you're putting on yourself, and it's just something. It's either you want to do this or you don't. You could do, you know. In our third season, maybe we can decide that we're all about sketch, and we're just doing, you know, like Key and Peele's pretty awesome. Maybe we just start doing what they're doing. You know what I'm saying? That's not going to happen, but. I feel like, but as much I love their show, but I can't. That's not what we were. It's funny because when we first started, you know, there were a lot of us who had sort of more of a sketch type background in writing and stuff like that, and so we were doing the stuff we're doing now, but we were also like, oh, and here's a funny sketch about this, and that kind of fell off because it didn't all come together. So
do you have more time to experiment with that sort of stuff now that you guys are 4 nights? I mean, I would imagine it can't all be hard news and hard commentary every night, right?
Yeah, I mean, we're sort of throwing. We're not throwing everything in the wall, but you know, FX, and FXX they're really all about letting the artist kind of go do their thing and do the thing that they do best, and so. And for our show, they're really like, you know, we want to see more. It's funny. A lot of times I think networks go, we like that thing that you do. Could you do more of that? And then pull it back a little, you know. And I feel like
every movie sequel.
Yeah, or
close to every movie sequel.
Just, you know, I think that's a little bit what Chappelle went through. I think that was the big thing. I mean, not to sort of speculate, but from what I could see and hearing him talk, and you know, it was like that. I felt like it was that kind of thing happening. We love this thing that you do. Keep doing that thing. I love when you're, but you gotta pull it back because maybe some of our advertisers don't feel. You know what I mean? And so, but with FX, they're just kind of like, we do like this. Please do more of this, but also try some. Yeah. Be inventive, do some new shit. So I feel like we're kind of in a position to try other things we haven't and get better at some things we have already tried and sort of learn and kind of, I don't know, go bigger.
So what's going on with you outside of Totally Biased?
Going to a movie? Hanging out? No.
Just movies?
No, I don't know, man. It's, first of all, working on a TV show is all encompassing, so it's, you know.
I was thinking about this the other day, by the way. I get that it's all encompassing, but like, people have jobs. No, everybody's job is all encompassing.
No, everybody's job is not.
No, you don't think so?
No, not to say that. Look, right?
I mean, career people who make their jobs their lives.
You guys listen. writing a TV
And I'm not trying to
show-
knock you down.
So you need to understand this. Writing a TV show is very important, and it's the only important job out there, and it's the only job where you work long. And the rest of you people, you peons, don't know what you're doing. You don't know what you have. You do your little jobs, and then you go home to your wife, your kids, or to your TV set, and you're 5 o'clock, you're done. You don't fucking know.
You really think that's the way it is?
No, I'm hoping though that you isolate that clip and post that.
Oh,
that goes on Upworthy or something. You know, Kevin Avery goes on a crazy rant or something.
In his ivory tower.
Yeah. Avery in the Ivory Tower. Oh, I like that. Oh, that's got to be a headline used somewhere. No, everyone's job is all encompassing. For me though, this is the first time I've had a job that I allow. First of all, I think that's not good. I think that we've slowly risen to that level in society where our work is become our life, and that's not cool.
I think it's a starkly American thing. I mean, it's happening elsewhere in the world.
I don't think it is. I think you go to some countries and that's also the case. That ethic.
Like Europe, for example, pretty much shuts down in
Europe
August.
doesn't give a fuck.
Right.
Europe is chilling.
You know, I mean, I'm doing business
good
with a
for
couple
them.
people there, and it takes 3 days to hear back. Only in August.
Oh, if only.
Yeah.
Man. No, I mean, it is heavily.
I'm working today. I got emails coming in. It's like, you know.
I was working today. I mean, but for me, this is the first job that I've had that I gave a shit about.
Yeah.
Too. I know people who, before I did this, oh man, like my comedy, my day jobs, while I've been doing all this comedy and all this stuff, and I kept the secret because I was so sort of embarrassed and almost ashamed of it. Not even almost. I just was. But I was working as like a tech writer for all these tech companies.
You were a tech writer.
Yeah. Now.
So were you just writing like ad copy or?
No. That sounds a little more interesting. I was writing like documents, technical documents for like you got your iPad there. Well, you know, there's an instruction booklet.
You were writing instruction booklets and those sorts of things.
But see, that's an at least that's for a cool thing.
Right.
I was writing for shit I don't even...
Like what?
Like the software that makes the software that makes that. Shit that no one is going to read! Just stuff. I don't know what a semiconductor is. But at Applied Materials, they make semiconductors, I think. Yeah. I worked at Applied Materials. I honestly didn't know what I remember going to job interviews and the guy would go, oh, I see you worked at... I worked at this one company called Dionics. And the guy was like, ew. So tell me about your time there. Well, here's the thing. I didn't know what they did. I hated these jobs. I didn't care about them. I just
paying the rent while you could go and explore.
Yeah, and it was like I let my parents kind of steer me into. I always grew up as sort of a very separate like kid, adult, kid, grown up. So. Everything was like, well, when I'm an adult, I'll kind of worry about that. Right now, I'm just a kid. I'm just, hey, we're just some crazy kids. So I don't. It took a long time for me to learn to really make my own choices. Even now, I'm incredibly indecisive, and a lot of times I would rely on other people.
Why do you feel it is? Are you afraid of what one decision might?
No, it's because I didn't learn to make my own decisions when I was a kid. I had friends who. It's weird too, because when you're black, you see like white kids, like parents asking, like even now, you ever see, like a mother, she's got her son, like a white mother and her white son, and he's like 4 or 5 years old, and she's like, they're in line to order. Well, what do you want, Steven? Do you want now? Do you want black beans on your burrito, or are you gonna want the pinto beans? What do you want? Steven doesn't know what the fuck the difference is between black and pinto beans, but she's asking him, and he's gonna make no. He's gonna take forever, and we're all gonna be like, I just want to get my burrito.
Come on, Steven!
But it's like, and I look at that, and a lot of people do, but I know black people especially do. Why is this white lady letting this white boy choose? Just like we all want to just choose the pinto and just. Which is a healthier decision, by the way.
Is that really?
That's what I heard.
Okay.
Don't look it up. you guys. But I think it is. I always choose Pinto. But, so, I know black people tend to make fun of that more with white people. But here's a kid who is going to, little by little, and you think, oh, this kid's going to grow up into a brat, he's going to think it's all about him, whatever. But little by little, he's learning to make his own decisions in life. And I feel like, for me, my parents just said, we are the parents, we will decide, you're just a kid, what do you know? Right. But parents don't like to let their kids grow up. So
it's
I
funny
got
that you
older
bring that
and
up.
older, kind of not learning to make my own decisions. And so now as an adult, I have to really make sure I'm sort of focused and pointed and go, no, I want this, and this is,
So it's funny that you bring that up. One of our topics this week. Mm-hmm. By the way, if you'd like to read along, you can go to delicious.com/BeerDiplomacy/120. So episode 120.
Sounds very porny.
That's crazy.
Delicious.com.
Yeah.
I like it.
You should check it out sometime. It's pretty delicious. But yeah, there's an interesting article in, I believe, Time magazine this week that talks about school becoming too hostile to boys. We're talking about children and sort of making decisions and what we're teaching kids and how it impacts them at a later age. And this article, pretty much the summary of it is, right now kids are getting kicked out of school or expelled from school at age 7 to 12 for doing things like playing cops and robbers in the schoolyard and making gun shapes with their hands. And, these are things that we all do and did when we were kids. And yet now, boys are sort of being told to not be boys as kids because of the fear of gun violence, because of the fear of terrorism and all this culture of fear, so to speak, that has sort of, overtaken almost everything that we do. And I find it interesting, to say the least. I mean, what do you think about telling little kids that they can't play cops and robbers anymore, or they can't play war, or they can't play soldier?
Yeah, I mean, man, adults can be so dumb. Look, I just think that you're treating the symptom and not the disease. Does that make sense? Does that apply? A kid is running around playing war because he watched a war movie or he saw a TV show, you know what I'm saying? Because he watched The Bourne Identity, and that's cool and it's fun. And so I think, and that's appealing, the only reason I can't do that is because I'm a grown person and I look stupid running around going,
you are on television.
But I know I need a budget if I want to do it then. But I think it's like you said, yes, this a culture of fear, and it's such a knee-jerk reaction. Now I understand we want to protect our children, but punishing a kid because he's doing what's instinctive to a little boy. I don't know about, boys aren't going to be able to be men because I don't know about that. I'm not a psychologist, so I can't,
right.
But I do feel like it's funny, you don't see a person's true colors until they're in the shit.
Right.
And this country has really demonstrated that. Like, we love to talk about how free we are and how whatever, and then when shit goes bad, we panic. We are a country of panickers. Yeah. And it's not a word, but I understand. I totally understand fear. There are things I'm paranoid about to this day. There are knee-jerk reactions I have just out on the street when still because of things that have happened in my life. Because I get it, but at some point you have to stand up and go, look, we have to make either implement rules for adults so that we aren't cranking out kids who are basically going to be a reflection of what we're doing, or we have to go, fuck it, we're going to gamble. You know what I mean?
There are a couple of interesting points in this article, though, and one of which is that, and I tend to agree with this a lot, that they say that playing as kids is critical for learning right from wrong and things like that. And when kids act out good and bad roles, they're actually teaching themselves the difference between right and wrong. And according to this article and a few studies as well, only 1% of play like this escalates into any sort of aggression. So it's another one of these things where, I guess you're right, panic does certainly come into play.
Yeah.
But it boggles my mind how, it's one of these things where it's so cliche, but like it really seems to me like the terrorists won. I know it's super dramatic to say it that way, but I mean, this thing is reverberating all the way down to the way that we educate our children and the way that we allow them to behave or not behave in schools.
Well, think about it this way. Well, okay, I went to the movies yesterday. I told you, I saw You're Next. I walked into the theater, went up the escalator, brother there taking the tickets, and as I'm trying to walk in, oh, hey, hoo. And I'm like, I thought he was stopping me because I was going up the wrong escalator. And I'm like, oh, sorry. And I went around to him, and he's like, no, you need to go over there and get your bag checked. I had a backpack on. Whoa. There was a manager, not even the cops. I almost would have felt better about it if the police were there or like some military dude was there check. It was this old dude in a blazer that, said whatever Lowe's on it or some shit. And I just was like, now here's why I had a problem with that. Couple reasons. A, I was like, is this legal for him to do? And I'm like, oh, it's a private thing. Maybe, whatever. Does it make sense? On some level, yes, we are, hats off to you guys for, I mean, we gotta keep this theater safe somehow because motherfuckers are just coming in with guns, whatever. I get it. But it's making me late for my movie. I was literally, there was an old lady with a cane on the escalator in front of me. She's not the problem. Her friend, who doesn't know to move to the fucking right. You stay on the right side of the goddamn escalator. There's that, and then there's a line, and the stupid machine that spits out your ticket. It broke, and so I had to go to another machine. And I get all that, and I'm up to the movie, and finally I make it past the old lady, and now there's a bag search.
How far up? Like not even at the door.
No, in the up at the top, like.
So if you technically had something in that bag, you could have done your damage with it before you were.
But I mean, how can you hold the door? I get it, but it's
just
still
another reason it's sort of ridiculous.
Yeah, and I mean, I get what they're doing, but now you're affecting our everyday life and our everyday living. Yeah. To do this now.
I had that yesterday. I went to a bar in Brooklyn to have brunch, an outdoor bar. Yeah. And I had a little camera bag with me. And guys, what's in the bag? Can I open up your bag?
That's weird.
And I said, at a bar in Brooklyn, and.
I mean, you're a grown man. Are they? The idea is that they would be worried that you would bring outside alcohol. But you're a grown-ass man. You came to the bar for a reason.
That thought didn't even think. That didn't even cross my mind that it would be alcohol. Like because I guess of all this same sort of fear culture. Like this guy was looking for weapons.
That's weird. What
else would he be searching? What else would he be searching me for?
Alcohol.
Really?
In a bar, yeah. Otherwise, I don't. I mean, there are a couple of bars.
Into a bar.
I know. Yeah. Or outside, but it's a restaurant type of thing. I don't know, man. It all seems weird. I don't know of any stories of people, not big news stories, shooting at bars. I know clubs, and spots that have gotten shot up. Yeah. And, but I just think that we have we're showing our true colors. We're free. The thing in Boston, the bomber. I'm not a big conspiracy theorist or look what the government's doing, but it is weird that they were able to just tell everyone stay in your homes, lock the city down, and then search people's homes door to door without warrant or. Now Boston got so caught up in the thing, and they were like, "Yeah, come on in, search, find these fuckers. Look, are they under my bed?" Right. But it is a little weird that we went, "Fuck it, we're just gonna."
It's funny, I'm actually a bit affected by that as well. We were talking about touching upon another topic. I don't have an article to support it, but since we've last been on the show, we've discovered that a lot of our rights are not necessarily being violated, but our privacy is surely being violated by our government at obscene levels.
Oh yeah.
And, there's been a couple of whistleblowers.
Mm-hmm.
We've discovered that they're listening to all of our phone calls. They're reading all of our emails. They have access to all of it. And they're doing it.
Mm-hmm.
And it sort of plays into that same thing in Boston. I think, I'm a liberal dude, but at the same time, I don't really care. It doesn't bother me.
Well,
and yet, I think you're bothered by it. I'm going to guess you're bothered by that sort of thing.
On the show, we have a segment we call No Shit News.
Yeah.
And that's one of them. And it's one of those things where I'm like, no, I didn't necessarily know the extent to which they were doing it.
Me.
But I was like, I was kind of like, we love to act so surprised about shit. And
wow.
you're
Michael Jackson was a kid toucher? What?
Yeah, well,
just like,
that's
a bad one.
That's a weird example.
There's
so many weird ones with that.
That was the first one that came to mind, man.
Yeah, I understand that.
I don't think I have any others, actually. That was the only.
That was one of those things you were like, wow. Well, you know what I mean? Like, but I just think.
Don't you do the same thing with the government? That you go, I get it.
I mean, I was like, okay, government, what's gonna be next week? You know what I mean? Like, there is so much just egregious shit out there that you will give yourself a heart attack.
Agreed.
Worrying about it and fretting over it. Now, that's not to say you stand down and you just let your government or you let people or organizations run over you, but I am saying I can do something, but I'm not going to let myself I'm not going to be just, whoa, no, why would they? Like, I can't afford to let myself get blown away by everything like that happens, because of course it's happening.
So it's crazy, though. The people who actually, I think, initially started this ball in motion, I want to say people, I mean, not only the individuals, but the people who support those individuals, are the same people who are willing to violently fight that government. You know what I mean? Like, it's easy to blame Obama for this stuff because it sort of got uncovered on his watch. But at the same time, these things were put into effect by Bush, the Patriot Act, and everything that happened during 9/11, and had the full support of the gun-toting right, who are now the same people who are saying, we need our guns so we can overthrow a government that is doing these very things that we voted for people to get into office to do in the first place. Do you know what I mean? Like,
yeah, but they didn't know what they were voting for. People don't know.
Well, those people especially don't know what they're voting for because they're voting against their interests every single moment of every single day.
A lot of folks are doing that.
Just one of those.
No, I know what you're saying. Here's the thing about that, though. I feel like we all love Bill Clinton, but I was listening to some show where they were somebody, political comedian Jimmy Dore, very funny dude, and he was talking about how, everyone loves Bill Clinton, but Bill Clinton is the one who set the deregulation in motion. Yeah. Well, I didn't know that.
He also dropped more bombs in a single day than any sitting president before or after him.
No, you're talking about
on
like
Somalia and
you talking about literal bombs or like rhymes?
Oh, both.
Because
both.
He was the first black president. They'd say, right?
All right.
Both. Yeah, I mean, so everyone loves Bill Clinton, and everyone, like Jimmy Dore would say, yeah, everyone thinks Bill Clinton's a fan of the working man, and he really wasn't. And so I was like, what? I didn't realize that our beloved Bill, and I think this, so who knows what Bush set in motion, who knows what Obama
that's a fair
set
point.
or kept in motion. The thing is, and I'm an Obama supporter, but I just, I do feel like there was shit that Bush, his administration, there was some just shitty things that they were actively trying to do and make happen that would have that were just setting us on the wrong course. I think Obama is, we're all kind of like, what the fuck? Like, I was watching Patrice O'Neal's special I think it's Elephant in the Room the other day, and he has this joke where he's saying like, white people need to shut up about Obama because black people, we really are on the verge of going, what the fuck are you doing? But we can't because you keep, you know, and so
you have to.
Yeah, we kind of have to. The thing about Obama and Bush and all these guys, I feel like the presidency, the office of the presidency, has changed so much. People compare, you know, there's a comparison sometimes Obama to FDR, and well, you know, when FDR got in office, he made all these policies and the New Deal and blah blah blah, and changed this stuff, and things of which I know a minimum about. I am not a true authority on this stuff. Let me just clarify, but they compare the two, and it's sort of like, well, why can't Obama set things in motion and do things? I think the office of the presidency is such that you can't do anything. You're not allowed to do anything. I mean, you just have to watch The West Wing or what's that, House of Cards to understand that, and then read the news. But those, you can look at things and go, it's to a point now where, okay, you can do this thing, but then you gotta do this thing.
Right. And in order to do that one thing, you have to do something else too.
You gotta do
balance.
Yeah, so.
But there's less balance than there's ever been, or at least that's what we're seeing from
Well, there's just more of the wheeling and dealing. I mean, it's just, that has now become, you know, someone did it for the first time a long time ago. And then a couple people heard about it, and so we can push this guy. Now it's just commonplace. So now if you want to get now I think that the job of the president is to not completely burn the country down.
Yeah.
And I think that's it. Everything else
That's
is run by
unfortunate,
everybody
isn't
else.
it?
Yeah, you know, you can talk about Obama all you want. It's beyond Obama. I agree. We're done with the. It's almost like we got to think of a whole new system.
Because he doesn't really do a hell of a lot. I mean, he does, but yet
he's trying to do a thing, but
his power has been so diminished by
the healthcare thing. I mean, who knows what the fuck was really going on?
And how many times have they tried to repeal that? I think over 40 times since it went into since it got passed.
Yeah,
it's like.
Now I'm
boggles my mind that they're spending. I mean, I hate to put it in such black and white terms. They're spending taxpayer money. We're paying our representatives to fight a fight that ended. You know, like it's like, I don't know. Like, let's look at the let's redo the count on that Tyson Buster Douglas fight every year for the next 20 years, because maybe he was down, maybe he wasn't. Or, do you know what I mean? Like, let's keep looking at it over and over and over again and never accept the fact that Tyson got counted to 10. Or how many times are we going to recount Bush v. Gore? You know what I mean? It's like, let it go. Just let it go.
Yeah, I don't know. It's just, I feel like, unfortunately, when you're, as soon as you get elected president, your hand, you know, your hand comes off that Bible, and then you turn around and walk in the White House, and someone just ties him. They would say, have a seat in the chair, man, and this is what you're going to be doing for the next 4 to 8 years. So.
Yeah, that's very true. So there was something you wanted to talk about, and I couldn't, for the life of me, think of what it might be.
You can't?
I can now that we've let the cat out of the bag before the show. But the internet is on fire with ire. It's very Don King. On fire with ire over the selection of the new Batman.
Yeah.
I know it's sort of a really hard transition to go from hard politics to Ben Affleck.
This is politics, people.
But it's sort of interesting. I think the bigger issue is, like, we need to make... Remember that Leave Britney Alone video? We need a...
I wish you had told me that off the air. We could have just made one.
We need a Leave Ben Alone video. I mean, you could do it right now. We're on camera, Kevin.
I don't remember what the guy said. I just remember
he said, "Leave Britney alone."
Leave Affleck alone. What are you doing? I don't know. Look, here's the thing. I'm gonna tell you how it happened. What happened with me? Do you remember where you were when you found out Ben Affleck is Batman?
Oh gosh, no, I don't.
You know why? Because it doesn't matter.
And because you're probably on your phone, so it's one of those things where you could have been anywhere and it's not memorable.
Well, I'd come home.
Times are different.
I guess I found out, it was Friday night. I'd come home from doing some show, and I sat down. It was late. Open up my computer, look at the news. Boom. That's the first thing I see. And I was kind of like, what the fuck? Like, I did have that moment.
Yeah, my first reaction was, that's a bad choice.
Yeah.
Like,
He seems too smooth and whatever. He
just
just
seems like the nicest dude. Every time anybody ever talks to him, he's coming off of winning Best Director, Best Picture. Like, does he deserve any of this being thrown at him? Daredevil did suck, but like,
I know, but
come on,
a
man.
lot of movies suck. And
yeah,
here's the other
exactly.
thing. Okay, look. Ben Affleck. The problem is Ben Affleck is not a bad actor. Ben Affleck, like, people make that Matt Damon Ben Affleck comparison, and I think that's the thing that's easy to do. Well, 'cause Damon, he knows, I love it, but Ben Affleck, he doesn't know. No, what happened? They made different choices.
Right.
Matt Damon made choices to be in certain movies that he knew, this is what I need to do. This is a good film. This is a good, Ben Affleck made of both of those dudes. He was sort of more of the movie star-ish type of dude. He sort of came off that way, and he seemed to make those choices. I'm gonna be in Daredevil. I'm gonna be in Paycheck. I'm gonna be, whatever. Now, that's up to him, whatever choice he wants to make. But I do feel like he gets a bad rap because he chose to go a certain route. And then a handful of years later, you see the guy at The Town. You see Argo. The guy he's a talented dude. I still go. I can't see him doing Batman. It feels weird for me.
Though.
I guess I don't know, but I don't. I guess my thing is, 5 years ago, maybe even 2 or 3 years ago, I would have been just rattling the cages with everybody else. But I've seen this thing on the internet where we just incrementally, the internet rage gets driven as if our opinion matters. I'm so tired of people believing that their opinion means something to anybody but themselves, and or that this all started with George Lucas and, oh my God, you're raping my childhood. No one's raping your childhood. If you like Star Wars, there's still 3 great-looking movies. You get the old versions.
I was just listening to...
and I hate those prequels, but
fuck
it.
I was just listening to Mark Maron's podcast, and he was talking, I believe, to Simon Pegg. Mm-hmm. And Pegg told his story about meeting Lucas, and I think he said something to Lucas, asked Lucas his advice on something, and George Lucas just said, 40 years from now, don't be doing the same thing that you were doing 40 years ago. And it was like one of these things where even he is sort of like, all right, I get it. Like, sort of messed it up. But,
what are you going to do?
It's so unfortunate. But it gets even worse. I mean, when your like contemporaries start hopping on you and saying shitty things, I mean, the crazy thing is, and I'm about to read... Is
that what are other actors tweeting?
Did you read the Richard Dreyfuss tweet?
No.
I mean, Dreyfuss is like an Academy Award-winning actor, even though he hasn't done very much in the past, 20 years? At least 10, and I don't know why.
He shows up in something every couple of years.
And does it well.
Mm-hmm.
Like, here's a guy who maybe one day might have an opportunity to work with Ben Affleck, an Academy Award-winning Best Director, and he tweets...
Well, he has that opportunity now. I mean, he's Richard Dreyfuss.
But he wrote, you read for a part, you feel good about it, you feel confident, and then they cast Ben Affleck. And I'm like, that's just so wrong.
Maybe they have some personal shit. I don't know. That's weird. That's
really
weird.
People have been really mean to him. Patton Oswalt, but you expect a joke from him, said, wow, Ben Affleck is going to play Batman. I hope he fights the Joker.
That's funny.
It's sort of funny, but not great. I don't know. I'm looking at some of these in here. WTF, Ben Affleck as Batman, that's genius. I don't understand that one. Still, people have not been very nice.
I mean, I've seen a few actors sort of
Will Wheaton
in sort of, I don't know,
just,
saying, hey, good luck,
he doesn't deserve,
get off his back.
Yeah, he doesn't deserve any of this. Will Wheaton, a shining pinnacle of acting talent.
Oh no, did he say something bad?
He did. I'm really looking forward to seeing Affleck bring the depth and gravitas to Batman that he brought to Daredevil and Gigli.
I don't.
Come on,
that
man.
I don't understand. Like, if you work with these people,
That's right. That's really it.
if they're all on the like, we all understand
Like that's the
what
part
it's
that I
like
don't
to do a thing.
Like a
and
tweet is the same as saying it out loud to someone's face in these days. I really do believe
It
so.
kind
Like, if I'm going to tweet like, "Damn, that show with Kevin Avery sucked. I hope he never comes back," and you read it,
Thanks for
you're
that.
going to be like, "Dude, I'm never coming back. Fuck you. Like,
Yeah.
what are you doing?" It's the same sort of thing. Like,
if I tweet
these guys
that,
go to cocktail parties too. Well, maybe not Will Wheaton. He's washed up and he's tweeting all day long. But
he's
sorry, Will. I'm a big Star Trek fan.
hey,
Nah, you know what I mean.
I like Will.
I like him too, but that was rude, man.
It is kind of rude.
I think it's more rude of someone
to
who's
do it to
sort
your
of in-
contemporaries.
right.
It's, if someone like me does it, it's shitty. No one wants to be talked about on the internet. I don't care
Right.
who you are,
You
but
drop the ball in the game, that's one thing. When like someone in your sport or that plays with you starts getting on your case for it, it's like, yo, dude, just wait until you drop
that's
the ball.
I don't know. That's just a weird thing. There's a petition. See, this
On
is
the
my
WhiteHouse.gov.
This is my issue. This is my problem with this whole thing. We have a petition out. There's a petition somewhere, and it has thousands of signatures. I think we
You need
may be
half
in
a
the
million,
five
I think,
figure.
to get the president to address it.
I think they have over 10,000 signatures on this thing. I think that's what I heard last. I could be totally wrong. I
I
saw
would
some
sign it
crazy
just
number.
because I'd love an official response from the White House. Did you ever hear the one they did with Star Wars?
Yeah,
And it was brilliant what they came back with.
wasn't that one a joke? The Star Wars people like.
No, I think people actually did put a petition on at WhiteHouse.gov to build a Death Star. It would create jobs and blah blah blah. And it was obviously a joke.
Yeah, that's a joke.
But yet it got enough signatures. The White House came back and gave this really sort of smart, geeky response.
Sure.
And I'd love to see the White House come back and say, you know, well, like William Shatner in that classic SNL skit.
Oh yeah,
Get a life.
But see,
You know?
this isn't for. It's not for the White House. I think
agree.
but I'm saying I think that whatever the petition is, this is a petition for whoever is it Warner Brothers to blah blah blah. And I know that Death Star thing was a joke. I think, and this might be too, but I think that people literally believe now
That
we got to put a petition
Obama,
together.
like Obama,
And not Obama, Warner Brothers. They no. I think that's what I'm saying. Obama, what? Now you're just fucking high if you think
Obama can
Obama's gonna
come
do
and
anything.
put a stop to all of this.
No, it's not.
There's a skit for you.
They think no. They're doing a petition. I think it's for Warner Brothers to recast them.
Not gonna happen.
And I'm like, why do they give a fuck what you think?
It's not gonna happen.
I don't. My thing is this. I can't necessarily see Ben Affleck in the role, but I couldn't see Heath Ledger in the role. And I know people are like, well, Heath Ledger's not Ben Affleck. You didn't know that. Everyone was angry about Heath Ledger, and now he's the legendary Joker. And I think,
These guys
people
are
even believe
actors.
he's
They can surprise you.
Yeah,
That's his job, is to figure out how to do it. Right?
Also, how many Batman have there been?
Yeah, and how many good Batman?
Adam West. Well, it doesn't matter. Adam West,
Michael
Keaton, Kilmer,
Clooney. There's one more.
No, after it was just three of them.
There's only Keaton, Clooney, and Kilmer.
Yeah, and then there was Bale, and then there was that dude who's in the TV show before Adam West, and
there was a dude in the TV show before Adam West.
Yeah, there was an old black and white one, and that's six Batman.
That's it.
There might be seven. I'm just saying you're gonna see him again. You're gonna see.
Well, that's true too. There will be an infinite number of Batman movies.
Let someone interpret it. It's like everyone's talking about. I just gotta go to the nerd side of things a little bit. Like people upset. People they need to bring Bale back because if you think that Christian Bale should be Batman in this new Justice League thing or in the sequel to you don't know what the fuck you're talking about,
right?
Because they're completely two different worlds. A, the filmmakers have said that themselves.
It's a different
but
story.
B,
right?
it doesn't. The Christian Bale Batman doesn't fit in this other world or universe or story that they've created, and it just is gonna look funny. And I bring that up because so many people who are they're smart and funny people talking about this, who know what they're talking about, who just don't like it and they're just pissed. But then there's so many people who have not a goddamn clue about what they're talking about, or not a goddamn clue about what it takes to make a movie and what a director might be looking for in his actor and all this other shit. I don't necessarily...
They don't have a script yet, from what I've heard, though. So that's sort of...
No, someone's... No.
Do you normally do you attach somebody to a movie before you have a script? So it's like, I'm
Sometimes,
gonna get this guy to play this guy.
The studio probably wanted Ben Affleck because he's a big movie star.
Yeah.
And they're not thinking that. They're thinking... And they're also going, well, women are going to... We want women to come.
Yeah.
So who knows who influenced what or whatever.
I just personally don't know how Batman fits into the Superman story anyway, because what does Superman need Batman for?
It's Batman versus Superman.
Are you sure about that?
Yeah, that's the... Actually...
That's another thing. Like, that's a fight that... I mean, we saw... And this is the same universe as the first Superman movie, the one that just came out, correct?
Yes.
So it's a continuance
this is
of
a sequel of Man of Steel.
So this is the
Sequel
Superman that has
Henry
a
Cavill,
lot less consideration for human life, is willing to throw people through
That's
buildings.
a thing too.
And like, so how is Batman going to have any sort of impact on? I mean, that Superman is also has limitless power. I mean, he's more powerful than any Superman we've ever seen before, possibly even in comic books. I'm not a huge Superman reader.
Sure.
I mean, he's like, let me flick Batman away like a fly, and no armor that Batman has can protect him from Superman. Are you sure it's a versus movie?
Yeah. Okay, so
I can't even think of any scenario where Superman would need Batman.
Before. They've had a,
and they always stalemate, right?
I have the book. I don't want to say what happens, but here's the thing.
Without kryptonite,
two things.
There's nothing Batman can do.
Two issues. First of all, the whole Superman doesn't care about human life thing. I have to.
I didn't say doesn't care. It has less consideration for it.
I know, but here's the thing about that. That was another thing people were just enraged about, and I was like, it was one aspect of this film. I actually enjoyed it. I totally. There were problems with this movie, but there are things about these films sometimes, like even. Well, what? It's such a tangent. The thing about Superman is that that story and the screenwriter, I believe is it David Goyer, I think, sort of explained in the same way. It's like you have this origin, and Kamau always likes to mess with me for saying words wrong, pronouncing words wrong.
Even though you say them right.
No, I used to say origin.
Did you?
I did for the longest time. As a kid growing up, and then
keep doing that.
There were a couple. A Requiem for a Dream was I one day I spit out Requiem for a Dream, like, and he loves it. He would catch me on our podcast.
That's
he would look at it. But so you're looking at an origin story where we're seeing the beginnings of Superman, and this whole. Well, if you talk about the killing thing, I think everyone says Superman doesn't kill. He had to learn not to kill somewhere, and I think that was the point of this whole thing. That's where that kind of came from. But aside, you're talking about the damage.
He killed
and all
like
that
2 million people, though.
That's that movie thing that we do that we don't think about until it's Superman. Like, we like to
Iron Man
many more
was the same
explosions
thing.
and more just it just I
in
think
a
that just
post
happened.
9/11 world, it's really hard to look at a city being decimated and
Sure.
not count the number of people who probably lost their lives there.
I think that was.
I don't know that I want to hold the film responsible for that, but I have to admit it. You pull it out, you know.
No, I remember there was that wide shot of Metropolis where it was like, oh, the city's gone. Oh, this is a disaster film, and that seemed weird as a directorial like that's not right, you know, and it's also part of a character thing, like. Somebody pointed out, I can't remember, I wish I remember the person who wrote this, but it would have been cooler if Superman, in this whole fight is happening, as Zod is going crazy and doing shit and tearing up, Superman is desperately, while trying to fight Zod, is also trying to save people, and he's clearly losing the fight because of it, and it's affecting him, and he's, oh my god, and then punch in the face, and I can't catch this vase if you're hitting me, you know, like shit like that, and he's doing all this stuff, and so that drives him eventually he has no choice but to kill Zod at the end. It's like, kill this guy, or I can't do both things, and you know, that would have been a great character thing, and they didn't do it, and whatever. But I was still able to enjoy the movie.
I could imagine that with like the Benny Hill theme song playing.
That would be awesome. But you know, whatever. I still am able to enjoy these movies, and I'm curious what's going to happen with I don't know why I picked this up. I can't even right now. But I'm
with two hands.
I picked it up with two hands. I'm like, well, I'm talking. But I'm very curious to see what it look like. You know, I think I tweeted this the other day. I was like, you know, there have been so many Batmans. This is one interpretation. We're gonna, you know, in 10 years, we can all get pissed off when they announce the kid from Modern Family is the new Batman. You know, like, I can no longer afford to. There's too much.
It doesn't.
You know,
at the end of the day, it doesn't matter. That movie is going to make $100 million. If not more, it's 2 years from now.
I'll see all the theater. I mean, you know.
Exactly.
But the other thing is, like, I just.
They probably love this publicity. The only one who doesn't like it is Affleck, because it's got to damage your soul to some extent when the world.
Maybe he doesn't give a fuck, but it's like,
I don't know.
It's weird though that it does show you though how much the studio or sometimes a director, like these upper echelon A-list filmmakers and studios, can kind of be out of touch, because that just seemed like, how could you not know that people wouldn't?
And they put out a major press release for this too. I mean, it was like
it's a weird thing.
2 years before the movie comes out, they're just like, you know what?
Well, I mean, that's how it's marketed now. There's no. I miss when a movie came out and it was word of mouth, and
you're like, oh my god, that movie.
You know.
Yeah. I do. That's
Not that I was alive in those days, you guys. I'm a millennial.
Yeah. Are you? So I think that's all we've got time for today, all Kevin Avery. Yeah, I've obviously lost some finesse in the starting and finishing.
I feel like you're doing well.
I'm rusty.
You're doing great.
Oh, well, thank you.
Good job.
So, what's going on with the show? Where can we see it?
You can see the show on FXX. Now, here's the thing.
How do you find FXX?
FXX, I'm probably not supposed to just start shouting this out, but if you...
There's a website.
There is a website that... I don't know what the link is.
I'm going to look it up while you talk.
Check with your cable people. It starts September 4th. That's a Wednesday. That's when FXX launches. Here's the deal. FXX is replacing Fox Soccer. I think it's kind of a sore issue, so I really probably not supposed to be bringing it up. But it is replacing Fox Soccer. Yeah, on your cable, if you get ESPN, if you get Fox Soccer, ESPN.
You can go to getfxx.com, put in your zip code and cable provider, and it will tell you not only if you have it, but what channel it is.
Boom!
Bam, there you go.
There you go. So watch the show.
So what else you got going on? You doing any shows around New York in the near future? Any projects you're working on?
I'm doing some shows around town, but I don't, just...
So if one wanted to keep up with all things Kevin Avery, where would we do so?
You can go to my Facebook page. Is just, I think it's just...
/ Kevin Avery, maybe?
You know what? I think someone else got Kevin Avery. I think it might be K. Avery.
Let's
I don't
find
know
out.
anymore. Let's look it up and find out.
Look, you can go to... thing in my hand here.
I have a website. It's called KevinAveryComedy.com. However, it's having a bit of an overhaul, and by that I mean I haven't updated in a little while. It should be it's probably Facebook.
I'm not logged in.
Facebook.
Screw this technology, man.
I think it's Facebook.com. Cavery.
Aren't you? Do you tweet these things out? Hey guys, I'm going to be at.
Yeah, I'm on Twitter. Follow me on Twitter at Kevin Avery. That's what I really want you to do. Follow me on Twitter at Kevin Avery.
You should have a
I got that
Twitter following. Yeah, there you go.
Mm-hmm.
Well, this has been fun, man. I do thank you for coming out and helping me kick this thing back off.
Yeah. Thanks for bringing me this cheese Danish.
Oh, you're welcome. I mean, next time don't eat breakfast, and I'll do more. It is Sunday,
Stuart
early in the day.
Texts me an hour before this thing. He's like, "What do you want for breakfast?" I'm like, "Motherfucker, it is 11 o'clock. I've been up since 7, making the world go round."
Yeah, what are you doing up at 7 on a Sunday?
I had shit to do.
Okay, fair enough. Fair enough.
Yeah.
Well, thank you very much,
Prepping.
Kevin Avery. It's been a lot of fun.
Thank you, sir.
Let's do this again at some point in the future. It's always fun.
Yeah.
Let's make cool shit.
I'm sorry, can I just interrupt you with this?
Please,
A plug for something that has nothing to do with me.
Yeah,
I
plug
talked
away.
to you about this, but since we were talking about movies and everyone getting angry about shit, here is an independent film. It's called You're Next. I saw it yesterday. I can't talk enough about this film. You should all go check it out. It is, it's a cool kind of horror-ish thriller. Let's say a thriller. It's awesome. Look it up. It's called You're Next. Go check it out. It's great. It's surprising and fun and funny and thrilling and scary and all that shit. I'm just saying, you want to support indie films. You're getting mad about Affleck and Batman and all that shit. You should see things like this because this film is pretty awesome.
It'll make you feel better.
I'm very excited about it.
All right. Well, thank you again, Kevin. Really.
Thank you.
And everybody go watch Totally Biased September 4th.
Do that too.
On FXX.
Wednesday.
Yeah, I'm going to be the screaming white guy in the audience.
Yes!
I can't wait to be there to support you guys.
We all need a screaming white guy.
Yeah, well, thank you. That's on my business card.
Thank you.
And we'll see y'all. We're going to be doing this actually every other week now. So join us again in 2 weeks when our guest will be Liam McEnany. Thank you so much. I'm Stuart Track. This is Beer Diplomacy. And later.